Well, good morning. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah.
Welcome to Tea Time. We got another day, y'all. Let's make the best of it. So here we
Yeah.
go. We want to welcome you to Tea Time, where we have live discussions about things and issues that affect us every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Tonie Anderson-Steele, and I'm your host for today. But we also have a guest, and he's right next to me, and his name is Terrence Wallace. He prefers Terry, and I want him to go ahead. He is actually the chairman board of CTCT 365 Incorporated. That's changed tomorrow today. 365 Incorporated. He's actually the chairperson of the board, and so. Hi, Terry. How are you today?
Hello, Dr. Steele. Thank you for having me on your show today. I'm
Not a
excited to
problem.
be here, and I look
Glad.
forward to it.
Thank you. Can you tell me a little bit or tell us a little bit about yourself, Terry?
All right. Well, my name is Terry Wallace, as Dr. Steele said. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I migrated down here to Florida as quickly as I could. I was in the military for 25 years and taught for 10 years and for a decade. And just my passion is for helping young people and also helping other individuals just be the best they can be. So, and with this organization, I see where they're doing that, and I just want to be a part of it.
And we're glad to have you as a part of it. And I want to let you know that I love Philadelphia. I
Mhm.
absolutely love the historic. I love the mass transportation system. I myself learned how to get around using the train and the bus, just visiting on an occasion. But I
Mhm.
love that feel, and I love all of the history. I tried to do as many museums as I possibly could, including the Constitutional Building, which is downtown, I believe, on
Yes, ma'am.
Race and Six or something like that.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so it was just it's a wonderful place to visit. You know, the Liberty Bell is there, our history is there. The first White House, according
Mhm.
to history,
Mhm.
was built there. And so it's a wonderful place. And I thank you for sharing that information. And I also thank you for your service, your military service. Thank you so much. And so I'm glad you're here today and you've agreed to come on the show. And today we're talking as much as we possibly can with the time allowed about Juneteenth.
Yes, ma'am.
And, we know 2 years ago, Juneteenth was made a federal holiday by President Biden. Prior to that, we were celebrating even anyway because it's part of our history, and that's what we should do is celebrate those special moments. And I consider Juneteenth to be a very special moment for our ancestors and for us because if you are of color, on June 19th, 1865, in Galveston, Texas, is when that final group of people learned from soldiers traveling with, I believe it was General Granger. They were told that they were no longer slaves, that they were no longer enslaved, and this information was received in Galveston, Texas, almost 2.5 years later than when everyone else received the information. So I'll let Terry piggyback off of, but since he's military, he can tell us more because he's researched and he knows better about the ins and out of General Granger and his soldiers and why those soldiers went before General Granger's and it was made to make. And these were black soldiers that and they were able to make that announcement.
Yes,
Go
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And let's go back a little bit further. In as Dr. Sales said, in January 1st, 1963, okay, 1863, President Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation. What is emancipation? And that is what the end of rule over one person or one group of things. So they were freed at that point. But it was interesting that the information never got out. And as simple as today, do we know that we're free? Did the information come out? And as the information came out, as you said, General Granger came along with his African American soldiers, showed them that they were free. They didn't even know what freedom was, but yet they were free. So as they were given their freedom, is they didn't know what they didn't know or how to receive that. So here we are today. Once again, we're free, but do we know that we're free and how we can use that and maximize it? And the significance of today is learning and teaching from each other that where we can go with this freedom.
Well, thank you for that, Terry. And to add to that, I know I was at one point feeling like I'm tired of getting information across the TV about slavery and da 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 da. But as I've matured, understanding our history and wanting to understand it better,
Yes.
Juneteenth is nothing to be embarrassed about. It is a celebration. And it is a celebration that's rightly to be celebrated because we're no longer enslaved, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So it's a
And
wonderful thing. Don't take it as a negative because slaves, I understand if you feel that way because I felt that way for some years. I'm so tired of them showing slavery shows on television and they just stuck in slavery and talking about slavery. But it's history
yes, ma'am.
and it's
But
how we.
also,
Mhm,
excuse
mhm.
me.
No
But
problem. Go
also,
ahead.
but also shows the resiliency of our people
Yes.
through the adversity, through the
Yes.
tragedies, through the crossing of the oceans. We are still here,
We're still
standing
here.
strong.
And even though our people were enslaved, they were making great contributions to the United States of America and internationally all over the world. And
Yes.
so, even enslaved now, so here we are, we're still contributing to what's going on in the United States. And we have great people that have contributed to the history
Yes.
of the United States and all of that. And it's history, and it's a great thing. It really is a great thing to have and to know and to study.
Hmm.
Study, to
Yes.
find in the books. And it's a sad time now that this is trying to be brushed under the rug, but
Mhm.
it's too much history to fit under the rug. How about that?
But that's where we come together. This is where
Yes,
we get involved. This is where we keep the history going.
that's right,
You
you
know,
got
it
it.
says, it says in the word, the older men teach the younger, older women teach the younger. We need to keep our traditions. And that's part of the social economic plight that we're in right now is being able to share this experience for the best, not for the worst. And
That's correct.
like you said, often we look at it as something that we still have around our neck. But once we release that and use it as a launch pad to greater, then
Hmm.
that's when we start seeing the hope of
Hmm.
tomorrow. We can't keep holding on
Hmm.
to yesterday, not in the negative light, yes, in a historical to know where we came from, to know where we're going to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another reason that you should remember, if you don't want to remember anything else about Juneteenth celebration, it's a celebration because we know what happened in the past and we don't want it to happen again. So
That's
we
right.
have to continue to celebrate our freedom. If Mr. Terry will go ahead and tell us a little bit about Juneteenth also being called what, Mr. Terry?
It's our Independence Day.
Right.
It's it's
Yeah.
a it's a national holiday, and
Yes.
that's another part too. It's the education of our society. We can't forget our other brothers and sisters because we're all in this together. I know that there's a lot of consternation and a lot of bigotry and hate, but how do we overcome that? Through education and seeing each other as people, not as individual groups.
Right.
Yes, you can have pride in who you are and your culture, but
Right.
here we come together. And that's what
Hmm.
we're called to do. We're called to share our lives together, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in any capacity. How do you how do you support one another? Well, you
Mm-hmm.
start by understanding.
Yes. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And as a matter of fact, I mentioned earlier that Terry is the chairperson of our Change Tomorrow Today nonprofit organization. And this organization is designed for us to restore the generations. So we can all do our part, no matter how great or small, in maximizing telling the stories of our history, sharing the stories of our history. And I want us to also be proud of our history.
Yes.
It was history that we lived in, but it wasn't created by us. And so we know we're out of it. And we don't want to go back to being enslaved. And so we're going to celebrate Juneteenth every day of our lives, okay?
That's right.
Because, and we have to recognize we all need to set up to be a mentor to someone, especially our young people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we restore the generations. We have to educate them and we have to build them up to be social activists, because we're too far removed from a few things that we should hold that's a part of our DNA that we've released. We've released it and we need to, it's in us and we got to recapture it again. And so Juneteenth is a holiday to be celebrated. It's not a holiday to be embarrassed about. It is our history, and we want to keep our history on the shelves. We want to keep our history in our minds and our hearts, and we want to share our history all across this land. So I want to thank. Go ahead, Mr. Terry. Go ahead.
Well, I like the one last thing, but this is
Mm-hmm,
where it comes: teach one, reach one. And
mm-hmm.
I challenge you, those that are in a position to
Yes,
reach back and
yes,
bring someone forward. Do
yes, yes,
even if you don't think that you have something to offer, you do.
yes,
Your
yes,
history, your life, how
yes.
what affected you to
Mm-hmm,
move forward, or what held you down. That's
mm-hmm.
important too, to learn from our mistakes so that we,
Absolutely,
once, as Dr. Steele said, that we do
absolutely.
not do it again. So that we can
Yes,
move forward, not just as individual, but as a society. As we
yes.
see, we are moving more splintered, but we can't be splintered. We must come together as a people.
Okay.
And I'm
And
talking.
so And so, all across this United States that I know of, we are going to celebrate Juneteenth in the most honorable way coming up soon. At any event that you might see advertised online or any social media platform or at your churches, on your job, whatever, I want you to join the celebration and recognize that it is something to be celebrated. And if you want to grab a couple of friends and family members, especially our young people, and take them along so they can absorb this history and recognize Juneteenth as a wonderful day in our history from 1865 that needs to be celebrated just like our birthdays. We celebrate our birthdays in the same way. When we have a birthday, we don't have a funeral, we have a celebration. And Juneteenth deserved the same amount of effort and time to celebrate such an important event, to know that our ancestors were free on that day. Now, there are a lot of other things that we need to talk about as it relates to their freedom that they received on Juneteenth, because we still have we had issues there, and we have issues even today about how being enslaved has affected generations and generations of people of color. But in any point, the point here is to recognize that Juneteenth is a day to be celebrated. And so now, as we begin to end our show, I want to let Mr. Terry have the final words. And I'm calling him Mr. Terry today. I don't know why. He's just Terry to me.
I'm just
Let me stop. Let me stop
I
this
didn't
one.
understand it either.
He and
Well,
I talk nearly every day, texting or whatever, and he's not a Mr. Terry to me. He's actually my friend and a
yeah,
partner. So it's Terry. And so he's Terry to me. He might be Mr. Terry to y'all, but he's Terry to me. I just want to clarify that we are
yes,
very informal here.
colleagues.
Okay.
Yes, well, I appreciate that, Dr. Steele, but you always be Dr. Steele to me. So, Dr.
Well,
Tony,
thank you,
so
boo.
you go. But I do appreciate the respect, and that goes to the point. It's about respecting one another as we go through this, and respecting the history that and the sacrifice that went before us. So as we celebrate this time, as I said, grab someone, grab a hold of each other, celebrate this holiday. Let's
Yes,
show the unity
yes.
of our
Please
people
do.
and
Yes.
in the celebration of it.
I agree wholeheartedly. And as we end the show right now, I want to thank you for joining us. Tell your friends and family that we're going to be here Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time from here on out. And we have guests that are going to be coming weekly to join the show. And we want to thank you. Mr. Terry, for the input and for your lovely inspirations to us, the words that you've given us so that we can grow. You didn't say anything to hold us back, and that's not what this show is about. This show is to propel us forward, and that's all people, not just people of color. It's for all people who have the mindset and they have a brain to hear and to do better because we have enough hate in this world. We don't need to grow any more of that. We need to throw out more seeds of love. And so I want you to visit my website at www.drT.com. Please visit Our Change Tomorrow, our nonprofit, Our Change Tomorrow Today website. You can visit that at www.changetomorrowtoday365, and it scrolls below on our platform right there. And take a look and see what we're doing. And we're doing it for us. We're doing it for this world. We we want things to be much, much different than what it is now. We feel the aches and the pains in our bodies and our minds and our souls and spirits, and it shouldn't be, because we were created to be a pleasure in this world, and things just are not working out quite right, but we are alive, and as long as we are 6 feet above and we have not signed a paper to be cremated, we're able to make a change 365 days of the week. And so please join the blog, interact. As a matter of fact, on this platform, you're able to ask questions if you'd like. So next Saturday, please join us, bring someone with you, share the blog, share the information that we're blogging and we're talking. And we'll see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I want to thank you all for listening. Thank Mr. Terry again. And Terry, my buddy, for being on the show. And we were going to prepare for it. We're going to continue to do more of like what we did this morning, discussing, and not only discussing, but let's come to some conclusions. So if you go back and you're able to listen to this and share this with someone else, there were some statements made, that things we need to do. And so that's what we're going to do. As we sign off, we thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Time.